Hi, it's your Brian uncle. So here's the first story. This is a story that I used to read my own children. In fact, it was my book when I was a little boy, and it's called Tuffy the Tugboat. Tuffy the Tugboat tooted a sad note on his whistle. He was the busiest and the most unhappy little boat in the harbour. Every day was the same. He pushed the garbage scow out to deep water, then he pushed it back into the harbour. And here he is, as you can see, pushing the garbage scow with all the rubbish on it out, and there he is tooting along with the other tugboats. Right. So the other tugboats passed him by without a single toot. They had shiny, gleaming new paint. They nudged and pulled big ocean liners and barges to their berths. Every day held a surprise for them. One day, a barge loaded with iron would enter the harbour, and the tugboats would haul it to the wharf. Another day, the queen of ocean liners would steam toward port, and they would bring her safely home. So there's poor old Tuffy the tugboat. He's looking a little bit sad. And there's the queen of ocean liners. Right. Tuffy would peek around the corner of the garbage scow. The queen of ocean liners was so beautiful and stately. He tried to hide when she came close to the old garbage scow. Tuffy did not want to be seen in his soiled red coat. He would choke down the coal Stoker Bill fed him and huff and puff until a big grey plume of smoke waved around him. See, there he is, huffing and puffing. The ocean liner's looking at him. Sometimes Tuffy would chug past the other tugboats very quietly. He would hear them telling of their adventures. One tugboat named Hooker had travelled a long way, another called Sandscraper a long way, and worked in the canals. Gator had made a channel in the winter ice, and Towhead had towed great rafts of logs. You can imagine, up maybe around Canada and Newfoundland. And what to do? And what do you do, Tuffy? Asked Gator. All the other tugboats hooted. They knew that Tuffy did nothing but tow the garbage scow in and out of the harbour. Tuffy felt ashamed. He was sad. He choked down more coal and steamed away with his little engine beating hard and his plume of smoke trailing sadly behind him. If I could only show them how strong I am, I would like to do something brave and daring. Then they would not hoot at me, Tuffy thought. So there he is, steaming away, and there's all the others laughing at him. Now, that's the next page. Oh wow, here is the queen of ocean liners. See, with all the other tugboats. So you'd find those tugboats in the Hooghly when all the ships come in from the Bay of Bengal, and they all have to be guided by little tugboats, pushed around. The other tugboats soon forgot about Tuffy, for they had a big job to do. They had to push and tow the queen of ocean liners out of the harbour into the deep sea. Tuffy hid behind the garbage scow and peeked around the corner. How he wished he could join them. So there he is, poor old Tuffy, peeping around the corner. See? Because he was a bit ashamed, I think, of his coat and everything, yeah? Tuffy swished around to give the scow a big push. A barge loaded with freight and cars was in the path of the scow. It was one of the biggest barges Tuffy had ever seen. He left the garbage scow to have a better look at it. There were no other tugboats around. So there he is, yeah, with the big tugboat, or the big barge. Ah, now I can prove how strong I am and brave. I will take this freight barge into the harbour all by myself, said Tuffy. Tuffy worked fast. He used all his strength to push the huge barge into the river channel. He got so tired he could hardly puff. There he is, see, pushing very, very hard. What do you think happens next? He started back towards the garbage scow when he heard a loud hoot. The tugboats had returned from pushing the Queen of Ocean liners out to sea. Instead of praising Tuffy and telling him how strong and brave they thought he was, the other tugboats hooted at him more than ever. You can turn that right around and push that freight barge out of the river channel again, Tuffy, said Gator. 3 of us pushed it out of the harbour this afternoon, and then you came along and pushed it back. No, Sandscraper was not impressed. So Tuffy had to push the big, heavy freight barge out of the channel. The other tugboats hooted and blew smoke at him. For many days after that, Tuffy hid behind the garbage scow. Poor old Tuffy, he was very upset. See, they're all hooting at him and giving out to him, yeah? So, one morning, Tuffy had to push the garbage scow out in the worst storm he'd ever seen. The waves were so strong that they beat against Tuffy's decks and cabin until he could hardly move straight ahead. There was thunder and lightning and heavy rain. But Tuffy had his work to do. He pushed the garbage scow out into the ocean. Oh my goodness, look at those big waves coming at him. Huge big waves. And thunder and lightning and everything. When he turned to push it back, he heard the whistle of the Queen of Ocean liners. The liner was off her course. Tuffy knew that if she went straight ahead, she would run into the rocks instead of the harbour. Gator, Sandscraper, Hooker, Tuffy tooted. The Queen of Ocean liners is lost in the storm. You must rescue her at once. Not I, said Hooker. I am not strong enough to face those big waves. Not I, said Sandscraper. I've just been painted. I would get scraped and marred if I tried to push a ship in bad weather. Not I, said Gator. I could not find my way around in the storm. I might push the ocean liner onto the rocks. Tuffy did not want the Queen of Ocean liners to hit the rocks and get battered and torn. So there, see, a huge big storm, and there's lightning, and there's thunder and rain, and the seas are very heavy. All right. So what does he do? Oh my goodness, wait till you see this photograph. I am stronger than Hooker. I do not have to worry about new paint like Sandscraper. I go out into the ocean every day. I would not lose my way like Gator. I can safely guide the Queen of Ocean liners into the river channel, said Tuffy. It's too stormy, said Hooker. It's too dangerous, said Sandscraper. It's too far away, said Gator. And there he is, look. Oh my goodness, there's a huge big wave. They're like big hands. And there's the other 3. And they're scared because they're not as brave as him. So Tuffy hooted at them. He tooted with his whistle and swallowed an extra helping of coal and steamed out to sea. His engine pounded, the waves splashed against the deck. But Tuffy kept on until he reached the Queen of Ocean liners. He towed her onto the right course. Tuffy was all worn out by the time he got the Queen of Ocean liners back into her proper berth in the harbour. And there he is, towing the big ship, the big liner, into the harbour. Isn't he great? And there, the Queen of Ocean liners is now safely in the harbour. And the next day was bright and sunny, but Tuffy slept late. He was awakened by a root toot 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 of the tugboat's whistles. Good morning to you, good morning to you, good morning, dear Tuffy, our friend true and true. And there they are. Look, they're all saying good morning, Tuffy. And Tuffy's delighted with himself. He's very happy. Then Tuffy blinked his eyes and looked around. "What is all this about?" he asked. "You are to be given a new coat of paint," said Hooker. "You are the only tugboat strong enough to pull the Ocean Queen of Liners all by yourself," said Sandscraper. "And that is to be your job from now on," said Gator. So here's the big city and the bridges, and there he is pulling away at the ocean liner, and they're all very happy and smiling, and that's his job. So, and who will push the garbage scow? Asked Tuffy. Gator will push it on Monday and Tuesday. Hooker will push it on Wednesday and Thursday. Sandscraper will push it on Friday and Saturday. And Tuffy will not push it at all because Sunday is a holiday, said Hooker. So that's the others. They're going to be doing the job, taking it in and out. Yes. From that day to this, Tuffy he'd never pushed the garbage scow again. He steams out to greet the big queen of ocean liners and escorts her out to the ocean again when she leaves. All the tugboats in the harbour toot in salute to Tuffy when he passes them. And Tuffy always waves his plume of smoke proudly and toots a happy note on his whistle. So there he is, getting lots of tooting and smiling, and there's the Queen of Ocean Liners. So I hope you enjoyed that story, boys. As I said, that came from my childhood. So I was read that by my mother as a little boy, and also then I read it to my children when they grew up. So it's a very old book. It's nearly 60 years old, and it even has my name written up there. So there you are. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.